All right. Good morning, everybody. It's a Saturday morning. It's very sunny outside. It's supposed to be warmer this afternoon. It's supposed to be up in the 60s. We have the director of our Metro Parks, Monique Odom, is here. Monique, how you doing?
I am well, Vice Mayor. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. I know it's spring break for a lot of people. So either they'll catch us this time live, or they'll be watching us when they come back. And actually, we're going to take a couple of weeks off after this one. And then we'll be back in a couple of weeks. So this is going to be a great interview. So, Monique, so, don't put any pressure on yourself. I'm just telling you, it's going to be great.
Okay, got it. Got it. I'll take your word for it.
All right. So for the first couple minutes, we just generally talk, and then we'll get started as we let people in. So as when you first got in, I noticed that you have a crown on your head, but it's really not.
Sometimes it's a halo, sometimes it's a crown.
Yes, and that is just a light fixture, I assume.
That is just a light fixture. Absolutely. I prefer the natural light when I am doing virtual meetings. It looks much better. So it's just the way it's configured. And
how have you been doing for the last year? I don't know if have I seen you in the last year?
I think I saw you one time, maybe a couple of weeks ago, at the mayor's office. That's it.
Okay, that's right.
We just happen to be there at the same time. I like everybody else have been muddling through, trying to not necessarily get comfortable with, but accept uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's just our new norm for right now. But muddling through.
Let me ask you this, which is a question I should be asking during the regular time, and then we'll get to the other thing. But do you understand? And I assume you do, the importance of what both your position and the folks that work for parks had during this period of time. Do you understand how important you all were?
I would say essential.
Yeah.
I would say essential to the physical, mental, spiritual well-being, and emotional well-being of our community. Because, in the beginning, when most facilities were closed, businesses in the city, parks and green spaces, greenways, and then golf courses that remained open were a refuge for folks in our community. And I'm so grateful. I heard I would communicate a lot and still do with my counterparts and colleagues from across the country, and some of the closures that they were having. I think lots of park systems did close, and that was a discussion here in Nashville just for a moment. But given the wide open spaces and considering that everything else was closed, we knew before now that parks were essential. Parks and parks facilities and greenways were essential to a community's well-being. It was, I think, driven home more so, and the point was proven more so during the past year during this global pandemic. Yeah.
Well, just as we get started in this conversation, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been, again, like everybody else, it's been for everyone else. It's been challenging, but I am so very grateful to have our park system here. I really am.
Well, let's get into it today. Right. It's a good Saturday. It's the Saturday after St. Patrick's Day.
And the first day of spring.
And the first day of spring, that's right. So we have council members Hancock and Hauser on the call.
Okay, very good.
I don't have any new COVID numbers. I will say that there's the big event going on at Nissan Stadium right now. 10,000 people are going to be vaccinated. So that's great with the Johnson & Johnson. So it's a one-time thing. That's great.
That's great.
I know some council members are volunteering right now, and I'm going down there a little bit later and going to volunteer.
That is wonderful.
So
thank you.
I'm not inoculating anybody. Okay, I don't have that. I don't have that power, and I don't want that power. I think I don't know what they're going to have me do. Probably way over someplace out of the way.
Give you a job that you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe take the trash out or something. I don't know. Okay, well, let's get started. Monique, director of our Metro Parks, tell me a little bit about yourself. Are you from Nashville? If not, how did you get here? I don't even know that. And how did you become our director of parks?
All right. Well, I'll give you the abridged version. My name is Monique Horton Odom. I am a native Nashvilleian, born, reared, and educated here in Nashville. Primary and secondary education in MNPS. I graduated from Whites Creek High School. I then went to Fisk University and got my bachelor's. My major was political science. And then after that, I went to TSU Institute of Government and got a Master of Public Administration. So that's the short piece of my education. In terms of my work, I've had a diverse work history. So I worked in corporate HR at Nations Bank, which is now Bank of America. I've done social work with local nonprofits, YWCA and Nashville OIC with their welfare to work programs. I have done some contract work for Metro in service employee training. And that was my first entree, I guess, into Metro. I worked with the Metro Human Resources Department, and we did tag teamed on diversity training for police recruits. And I did all sorts of soft skills training for Metro employees. And from there, I've worked with the state of Tennessee at the now defunct Tennessee Regulatory Authority. I'm trying to think, and I did some nonprofit work just before coming to Metro with the Neighborhood Justice Center. You may know Joe Engel.
Sure.
Okay, and so I work with Joe at the Neighborhood Justice Center, which is a nonprofit that focuses on alternative dispute resolution and mediation. So I'm trained in mediation and diversity and inclusion facilitating. So fast forward, I came to Metro in 2002 at the Metro Human Relations Commission, and I did program, community outreach and program delivery. Also, because the staff was so small, I was also head of the administrative piece, so that's HR and finance. So I handled those pieces. While I was there, I worked there for 4.5 years and had my son there and went from full-time to part-time. And just as my son was approaching his second birthday, felt the itch to want to move ahead and round out my career. And an opportunity became available here at Parks as a finance officer 3. And I applied, did not expect to get the position, but walked into it with kind of thinking worst case scenario, I'll meet some new people and brush up on my interview skills. Long story short, I did get the position, and from finance officer was promoted to Parks and Recreation Superintendent over Finance and Administration, and then Assistant Director, Deputy Director, Interim Director. I was recommended as Interim Director by my predecessor, Tommy Lynch, who I worked very closely with. We developed a great working relationship. And then in October of 2017, was appointed as the Parks Director. And I am very honored to be able to serve my hometown in this capacity. And it's just a joy.
Let me ask you a question. You talked about you know how to mediate.
I do.
Does that help you in your job?
It does, absolutely. I would say lots of transferable skills from mediation to alternative dispute resolution. Those skills and interpersonal abilities, those come in very handy. Yes.
I bet they do. So for those people watching, all directors, even the parks director has different issues that come up through the years. And I'm sure that mediation skills help, including, and probably also your HR skills and just the overall. So it sounds like your background is tremendous for this role, because I know it can be
Mama
difficult.
has to go in.
Oh, I've got somebody talking. If everybody can mute, that would be great. Okay, so back to Monique.
Yeah.
So tell the folks that are watching, how many parks do we have? Greenways, kind of comes up, what comes under your supervision,
Sure.
and how expansive is that?
Sure. So we have a vast park system, over 16,000 acres of parkland, which include nearly 100 miles of greenway. That's 178 parks, 7 golf courses, 29 community centers, 4 nature centers, Wave Country, Parthenon, Ascend Amphitheater. What am I forgetting? 5 historic sites. Let's see, 171 sports fields. I'm looking at my little cheat sheet over here to make sure I don't forget anything.
What are the 5 historic sites? What are
Oh
those?
gosh, of course she wouldn't ask me that.
Okay, I won't ask you, just forget.
Okay.
So one of them
All
must be the Battlefield Monument. The Battlefield Monument
That's
over.
not
That's
ours.
not one.
No,
Okay.
that's state.
Okay. So
Mhm.
they're historical, there's something historical about it. The city center, city center, the city cemetery,
City
is that
cemetery.
under your supervision? Okay.
So we do the maintenance, and the historical commission kind of manages it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So we have that joint agreement.
How many employees to take care of all that? How many employees do you have?
So our employee count has been decreasing some, or position count, but we have about a little over 600 full-time and part-time regular. That increases, as we approach the seasonal activities that are based contingent upon weather, Wave Country, golf, and all those outdoor activities. We get seasonals for those activities. Mm-hmm.
I was just saying, I have been by Wave Country a million times, but I've never, I think, been in the water.
I think you should.
Have you?
I have, of course.
Okay. All right.
Even before I was parks director, as a kid, we go
as
to
a
Wave
kid,
Country.
you went to Wave Country.
Yeah.
All right. I may do that this year.
You
Just
should.
put my foot in the water. I don't know if I'll get fully in or not. I don't know. So, so tell me about the parks overall. What kind of condition are they in? And then a lot of the questions that came in over the week, we're talking about particular parks. And so generally, and then I'll start asking you about specific ones.
Okay. Very good. So I would say generally, the park system is aging and in need of repair. So I was grateful to see in this past capital spending plan, $24 million, $23.9 million. And the bulk of that is to address deferred maintenance items that we had shared with the administration. So I'm grateful to see that. We have a projection that our deferred maintenance backlog is probably more like $80 million. But, I am so very grateful that we get to, start the process of addressing those types of issues, paving, roofs, HVAC, all of those types of, all of those maintenance and repair types of things that come up in a park system that, they're not really appealing to fund. It's always much more fun to see, money going to a new facility or, a new feature in the park. That's always great. But what I am thankful for and hopeful that we will continue with, city leaders like yourself, is that we give more attention to those kinds of infrastructure needs that go along with a growing park system that is heavily used and more in demand. As the city has grown, more people have used the parks, and I'm grateful to see people out in the parks. But what comes with that is wear and tear, and it's just normal wear and tear.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to, in my mind, be able to be responsible stewards of the community assets that we have now. Before we start to add, new exciting features or facilities, we need to make sure that we can take care of what we have now, and take care of it very well so that, spaces are safe and welcoming, and we don't prolong repairs that may become replacements, but either way are more expensive on the back end.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about some different parks.
Okay.
And maybe based on what you said, this first question may not necessarily be fair, but people did ask about downtown. And there is if you get Fort Negley kind of out of the way, and I'll come back to Riverfront Park, they ask about the pocket park that's right outside the library, and kind of what the plan is for that.
Okay.
How's that going? I know that there's some money coming in to help kind of redo that.
So it's Church Street Park, and we got a donation, an in-kind donation, right around a little bit over $500,000 from the, let me see if I get the name right, the Hermitage Capital Corridor Foundation is working with a contractor to make improvements to that park. And along with that donation includes a 6-week time period after the park is reopened for them to program it, really try to make it a viable space, a space that people want to come to and enjoy. So that park should reopen later this spring. There will, though, be an opportunity for other stakeholders in that area to give input about what they want to see in the park, because this is a donation that has a time limit, and we want to make sure that we respect all the stakeholders in the area and get public input about what they want to see in that park going forward, and really then come up with some kind of innovative ideas of how we can partner probably with an organization to make that happen. Given, again, I hate to continue to go back to budget and resources, but that is an issue that is kind of beaming right here in front of my face at all times when I am considering whatever we're doing. That is certainly a factor. So yeah, we expect that park to open later.
But for people who were concerned, at one point there was talk about selling that piece of property. That property is going to remain a park.
That park, it will remain a park.
Yeah.
And any input that we get from stakeholders will be for that park space as a park. Yes.
Okay, so let me expand the downtown area a little bit.
Okay.
And say, okay, let's talk about Riverfront first, but also we had Mark Deutschman on last week, and I had told him, same thing I'll tell you, is that there's been some people, particularly in the last couple of weeks, that have been kind of getting in touch with me to say they were concerned as we open kind of back up, concerns about that we're going to lose a lot of our green space. There's too much development going on and there's no plan. So as we talk about Riverfront, are you allowed in your position to push for more green space, particularly in terms of any pocket parks downtown? That's what I think people were concerned about. We're losing, I mean, we're getting inundated with really tall buildings downtown.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't have a lot of green space.
A lot of green space. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Green space is a premium downtown. So first I'll say we work with the planning department closely to kind of advocate for green space. They have been very supportive and helpful, because when developers come in, that's the first place they go is, the planning department. And so they know about the development. And so the planning department has helped us advocate for the inclusion of green space in developments, particularly if they're are not green spaces close to where the development will be. So we are working in partnership with them. But then I also will say, you know, as the city grows and tourism increases, the riverfront continually becomes a focus, or increasingly becomes a focus for the department. So we have, as you know, we had a hiring freeze, and then non-essential capital funds were frozen. We recently had some of our non-essential capital funds unfrozen for the master planning of Wharf Park. And that's a 24-acre park on the Cumberland, and it's just inside the downtown interstate loop. So we had already moved through the piece of getting a vendor through the procurement process, getting a vendor, and that's agency landscaping and planning. They had already done some preliminary data collection and site analysis, and was ready to begin really a robust public engagement process last year when COVID hit. So we had to kind of put the pause on everything. We're ready to restart that process. And so we look forward to moving forward with that master planning process for that park right there on the river. Additionally, we are working to finalize a contract, working with our procurement department to finalize a contract for a vendor that will maintain, program, and oversee the East Bank Recreation Dock and the East and West Bank Commercial Docks. And when it's repaired, the West Bank Recreation Docks. And we started that process some time ago, realizing that there was a real need for folks wanted to get out on the water, get out on the Cumberland. We don't have the staff to, you know, kind of oversee that programming and activities and all of that. So we do have, I can't reveal who it is at this point. I don't think the intent to award has been issued, but we are moving forward with that. So we are very focused on the riverfront and downtown.
Well, so we got a question while you were talking about issuance of commercial vendor permits for the downtown docks. I guess there's some businesses that actually operate in that area, in that space, and they're probably, obviously they've been hurt by the pandemic, operate during the spring and summer. How do people go about getting permits to operate down there? Do they come to your department?
They would contact our department, and right now we've had only one commercial vendor, and it was a Pontoon Saloon. I think they were the one operator down there, but yeah, they can come to our department and we'll work through that. Okay,
so anybody who's interested in getting an issuance of a vendor permit for a downtown dock, is that how it works? Are they allowed to dock downtown?
Well, sometimes, yes. And that's why we are, for now, they can just come to us. Once we have this vendor in place, that is who will operate, who will reserve it, who will oversee it, manage it, all of that. So for now, they can come to us.
I guess until then, what are they supposed to do? I think that was the question.
Sure, they need to contact our department.
Just dropped my phone, which is where the question was.
615-862-8400. Just give us a call and we will connect you with our permits division.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like there's big plans to do stuff on the riverfront.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. I think Jackie Jones of your office had sent something about let's see, Fort Nashboro is one of the historic sites.
Yeah.
Along with the Parthenon, Fort Negley, Two Rivers Mansion, Stone Hall, Hodge House at Warner Park. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Jackie.
Yeah. So let me ask, okay, so since we're just having fun right now, let me ask you this. Wharf Park, and then Fort Nashboro, Wharf Park would be on the other side of the river?
Yeah. Okay. No, it's on the west side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that, tell me what is with Fort Nashboro and that First Avenue scope, what are the plans over there? Is that going to be part of this discussion?
It has not been, but I know it's been part of a broader city discussion. So interestingly enough, the Friends of Fort Nashboro was just approved at the last Parks Board meeting.
Okay.
And I believe they probably want to raise funds for a second phase of for funding of Fort Nashboro to make it a more active space. And I mean, I know tourists come when they come to the city, but it is passive, but to offer some more interactive activities there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what if we were to, and I'm just
Lord.
throwing out ideas. What if we were to close down First Avenue? What if we were to block First Avenue? Now I know people may get, it's like, you can't do that. But what if you, I mean, has there ever been talk about, because this is the discussion that we had with Mark Deutschman last week, was particularly that riverfront area, the buildings that were impacted by the bomb on Second Avenue are typically they go from Second to First, and they
Right.
were used, I think, as warehouses
Mhm.
for people coming off the river and unloading. So you have a street, you have First Avenue, and then you have Fort Nashboro, and you have a little bit of, you have the riverfront park. But you know, it's a little bit more difficult to get to Fort Nashboro just because you have to park someplace and then walk up to it. So I assume it doesn't get as much traffic as we would like. Do you know if there's ever been discussion about just shutting down First Avenue, making it into a expansive park, and then some of those buildings on First and Second actually could flip and face outward and attract people in that way?
I actually believe there was some discussion about that during Mayor Barry's administration. I knew that she was working, they worked some and brought in some folks from Bloomberg, and Riverfront was the focus of what they were doing. So that, yeah, there'd been some conversation about that. I think if it were closed off, it'd just be a pedestrian area, and, you know, more lend itself more to pedestrian traffic.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it'll be bad.
Well, I just you know, as I get older, I'm willing to say more things, and I kind of think that might be kind of an interesting thing. I don't know. All right, so let's get on to some other things. Let's talk about Centennial Park. What's going on with that?
So we are in phase 2 of the Centennial Park Master Plan. We finished the Great Lawn, as you all may recall. As you may recall, the Great Lawn in front of the Parthenon was just renovated, and it was renovated with turf that's more durable, you know, and able to kind of rebound from different activities that or festivals.
We're not planning on having the Super Bowl out in front of the
We
Centennial.
are not planning to have the Super Bowl there.
Okay, just checking. Okay, all right. Remember, I said I was a visionary. At least
okay, so don't
for the last 5 minutes, and for the next 5 minutes, then I stop. Okay, go ahead.
We actually plan to, so there's been new lighting installed on the exterior of the Parthenon that is less obtrusive at night. We still have the West End entrance to finish. And so all of that work, particularly the West End entrance and the relocating of some trees, we should be finished probably midsummer, early fall. I know people are anxious to get back in Centennial Park, but all of this work is going toward making the park more pedestrian friendly. Another piece of, which is another component of the master plan, is the Children's Memorial Garden. Andrea Conte is leading that effort and worked very closely with us here at Parks, along with the Conservancy for Centennial Park. So that's a part of it. And then in the next phase will be, there's no timeline, but will be a new events shelter in the park. So lots going on. The Centennial Park Master Plan was approved in 2010 under Mayor Carl Dean, and it's a multi-phased plan. And so as we get funding and are able to, we just move forward with various phases. So we're hopeful to at least get done with phase 2 later this year. Like I said, the summer or early fall, and then move to phase 3.
Okay. I love Centennial Park. Such a nice place. Now, I do have, I have some friends that go to that dog park up there. And that fence has been falling down for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that going to be fixed at some point?
Yes,
Is that part?
yes.
Okay.
It will be. And actually, as a part of the master plan, it is to move the dog park, but the fence will be repaired before the dog park moves, because that's in the latter part of the master plan. And while we're on the subject of dog parks, let me just interject here. While we're on the subject of dog parks, let me make a plea to our friends in the public, not only to help us keep our parks and greenways safe and clean, but particularly our dog parks. I'm asking for pet owners to please clean up after your pets. Please, please. We're seeing kind of an increase in dog park users who are not demonstrating responsible behavior as it relates to pet ownership. So if you please clean up after your pets, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. That was a
public service announcement.
A public service announcement from the Parks Department. All right, that's great. I have a dog. I don't take her over there because she would try to kill everything in the park. Okay, so
I understand.
Anyway, just letting you know. And she's a small dog, but she would try to kill people, animals, the trees, whatever. She'd try to kill everything. All right, talk about, so Friends of Warner Parks was the question. What are they up to? What's going on with all the different parks in that they're friends of?
Yeah, so Friends of Warner Park has been around since about 1987. And since then, they have donated about $37 million to additions and improvements at Warner Parks. They are a great supporter of the Parks Department, and we work very well together. Currently, they're in the midst of a capital campaign, and it's called It's My Nature, and it's for the restoration of historic elements and woodlands. So I think a part of that question asked something about balancing oversight and overregulation. Is that right?
That may be right.
Okay. That may be right.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, so tell me, so they were doing the steps at, I always get the parks mixed up, at Percy Warner?
At Percy Warner.
Okay, so are they done with that?
They're done.
I drove over there one time.
LA.
Okay, so they're good with that. Now, for people who have not been all the way up into that park, and that's my dog barking, trying to kill somebody back there. Tell us, because I'm going to ask you a question at the end. I don't want to give it away, but Tommy Lynch took me all the way up to that top area where you can, I think there's a couple of benches up there and you can just, it's an amazing view. Yeah. How do people find that? And do people know that it's up there?
Oh yeah. People know that it's up there, and it is the 3.5-mile loop. It's at the top. And in fact, I'll say that the Warner Parks are probably behind Centennial, one of our most highly attended parks. When the weather warms, I mean, the park is just overrun with visitors, which is, it's good. And it can be kind of challenging because there are parking issues there that we've had to deal with, and we still deal with. So yeah, it's a wonderful location. I would encourage folks to be there.
All right. So so if you haven't been there, how do you get to that?
Oh gosh. Yeah, you're asking me for directions that I cannot give you at this point. I'll follow up.
Okay, so you can follow up. Yeah. All right. All right. So now let's switch over to, well, let's talk about Shelby Park, because somebody had a question about the roads coming into Shelby Park, particularly some of the roads that need to be fixed.
And I wholeheartedly agree with them. We do have funding to pave the roads in Shelby Park, and we will handle that. We recently got funding, I think last fiscal year, for some, it was a safety issue, erosion at Davidson Street, as it comes up on the river. There were some erosion issues that we needed to deal with. So we have handled that, and we have paved some areas that were really bad, but the plan is to repave all the roads in that park. Best case scenario, we would start that this spring, probably May, to get that done, to get that repaving done over at Shelby.
I'm muting because my dog is barking. So, okay, so that's going to be taken care of. There was a question about Cumberland Park and what's going on there, and is there questions about docking in that area as well? Is that a possibility?
Yeah,
I'll look at the question. So what's happening at Cumberland Park? Anything?
I mean, it is a park that we program regularly as summer starts, or warmer weather permits, and we have our staffing augmented. We will start to operate the spray park down there.
She's found something back there.
Yeah, we'll start to operate the spray park. So it's an active park. It is, folks are able to reserve it for events. And so I expect as we are, as the weather is warming, and as we are kind of easing through tight restrictions of COVID, fingers crossed, that park will become more active as it has been in the past, like for events and, for folks to visit.
I'm moving away from the dog.
Changing, yeah.
Moving away from the dog. Okay, so tell me about the greenway system. Tell me what you can, or for people who don't really fully understand the greenways, how does that work?
So greenways, we consider greenways linear parks. So they are developed primarily along waterways, with the exception of the new city central that will be kind of an urban greenway. And what they basically do is offer a mode of passive transportation that's pedestrian and bike, and they're away from busier modes of transportation. And they also provide connectivity to neighborhoods, locations, and other parks. So that's basically what our greenway system is. We have an expansive greenway system here, about 100 miles. And what I think I'd like people to understand most is that the greenway system here in Nashville started 25 or 30 years ago. And it has taken to now to get where we are. And we still have a long way to go to certainly connect all of the greenways. But it is a painstaking process. It's led by Cindy Harrison, who is here in our office as the director of Greenways and Open Space Division. And she works closely with Greenways for Nashville, a local nonprofit. And it is painstaking, and it's opportunity, funding, working with private property owners, working with the city, the state, to try to make it happen, make a link, get to a point where we can make connections or trailheads, working with developers to make sure that they are thoughtful about if their development is near a greenway, offering access to the folks that'll live in that development, whether it's a trailhead or if we need an easement for a future trailhead or some portion of the greenway that may cross the property. So it's always, I would say greenways is probably one of our most forward-thinking divisions in the department, because it is, like a puzzle, really.
If people obviously people are interested in seeing how the greenways all connect or learning more about different parks. Best place to go, is it your website?
The best place to go is our website. There's also, again, I will mention Greenways for Nashville. They're a primary supporter of the Greenway system and supporter of Metro Parks, so they have information as well. And they have a website, yeah.
Okay, so there was a question that came in during the week about, I think it's Brookmead. And maybe there's concerns about maybe homeless encampments.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I
About what's
can.
going on with that?
I can. So Brookmead Greenway and Brookmead Park, which is west of the city in West Nashville. Most recently, we were participated in a cleanup at Brookmead Park and Greenway, and it was coordinated with Parks, the Homeless Impact Division of Social Services, the Mayor's Office, the Police Departments, and Public Works. And this would have been probably the fourth time that Parks has cleaned up the Greenway. There is a homeless encampment there, a significant one, and it is visible. And you may know that Lowe's, and it's right in the area where Lowe's and Walmart are in that area, and we are one of a few property owners there. Again, I'll just say, I completely understand people who live and work in that area and the issue that this creates for them. I'll also say that homelessness or displacement is citywide, and it's a symptom of a larger issue in my mind. It's an affordable housing issue. It's availability of services, and help with barriers to sustained living. So I will say we are not the experts on homelessness. We yield to the police and the Homelessness Impact Division, which is why we coordinate with them. We will continue to be out there and patrol, our park police and MMPD patrol there. And then we will continue to do regular cleanups. We found that one of the contributors, although this is completely well-intentioned, one of the contributing factors to the need for the cleanup was that Good Samaritans are taking donations of clothing and supplies to the park and to the Greenway and leaving them there. And so people who are there at the encampment will take what they need and leave what they don't. It gets dispersed all over the place. And that, therefore, was a need for the cleanup. But I will go back to the larger issue of homelessness facing our city. It's going to take, in my mind, all of us as a community, across industries to try to resolve or mitigate this issue of displacement, or our neighbors who are unsheltered, who don't have regular shelter. So I would say from Metro government has a role, the faith community, the private community, and nonprofit sectors. If we can come together and make that a priority for our city, I think we can make a dent in the issue. I really do. I really do. But back to Brookmead more specifically, we are more focused on, at this point, on Brookmead and making sure that it is not overrun, or that it doesn't need to be cleaned up. Our maintenance team and park police are giving it attention at this point.
Okay. And obviously that's an issue. I assume there are other issues that come up. How easy is it to work with the other divisions and departments within Metro government to, obviously homelessness is an issue, we get that, but just in terms of everything else that needs to be done, whether it's working with the city cemetery,
right,
anything else, do you all get together? I mean, is there efforts to make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page on some of this stuff?
You know, and I'll say historically for parks, at least since I've been here, we have collaborated well with other departments on various issues. There can be some siloing, you know, of departments, but in recent years, I think departments have become more collaborative with each other. I mean, we work with from stormwater to public works to schools and libraries, planning. I mean, we work with lots of different departments, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate that because something that can be a heavy lift for one, if everybody pitches in and plays their role, it can be an easier process, or the project can be more productive, you know, for everybody, and more meaningful for everybody, and get completed. I will just mention one project in particular where we work with water, MDHA, arts. I think that's it. It's the new Cassie Gardner Jr., a senior park on Jefferson Street. That was a collaboration, and MDHA, sorry about that, MDHA as well. That was a collaborative effort. And we recently kind of did a ribbon cutting for that park. So yeah, we work well with other parks. I mean, other departments, I'm sorry, other departments.
Good. All right, so we've got about 10 minutes left, a little bit more than that. Tell folks about some of the hidden gems that they may not know about in the park system. You know, if people are going out and going like, you know, I've been to some of the parks and they just do the same thing. But I know there's certain things in there that we don't know about that you probably do. Tell us if you were, you know, if you were telling us like the 5 places that we don't know about that we may want to go take a look at, what are they?
So I would say, and some of these you may know about. I'm going to start with something that you asked about earlier, the Greenway system. It is, I think, you know, can be, it's one of our jewels in the city. And I would say still little known, because not a lot of people know about it. Those who know and are engaged know about it, but not everyone. My favorite greenway is the Whites Creek Greenway, although I enjoy the entire system, which is Whites Creek Greenway is in the north part of the county. But I would say get a greenway map and start to explore. I would encourage you not to go alone, just in the interest of safety. But get a greenway map and start to explore. Let's see. I would say Fort Negley to visit, take a visit over at the visitor center. They offer walking tours. You can register for a walking tour. We have some outstanding historians in that facility. And there's a wealth of history that is little known about that location. Let's see. I can't think of 5. I mean, I have to say, like a parent would say about their children, I love all the parks. I would encourage folks to visit Hadley Park, even though many people probably already know about Hadley or know where Hadley Park is. They don't know the history behind Hadley Park, and then step into the community center, and there is a historical kiosk there that offers some background about Hadley Park. Of course, people know about Centennial Park and Parthenon. I would absolutely encourage folks to visit there. And let me see. I can't think of any particular place else, but I would encourage people to become engaged in some of the programs and activities that we offer through our community centers. I would, and our cultural arts programming, whether it's theater, dance, or visual arts. I encourage people to just become engaged. I mean, we offer a lot.
Okay, so let me ask you about this. And Jackie's sending all kinds of messages.
I see. Yeah,
gems,
thank you, Jackie.
Yeah. So there was a question about the Civil War and the history in Fort Negley. About, again, sometimes, I mean, I've been here over 40 years, and sometimes I don't know
Right.
the history.
Yeah.
So you can obviously go to Fort Negley, go take a look at the, you know, the center there.
Fort, yeah.
But again, I think maybe again, the best way of, if you really want to know, I mean, some of this stuff is hidden from people. I know there's so much history in the city cemetery. And some people don't even know where the city cemetery is.
Right.
So if you really wanted, from your perspective as the parks director, if you really wanted to know a lot about Nashville and some of that hidden history, again, the best way to do it, how do you do that? I mean, obviously you can get books, but if you want to go explore, is there a good place to go find that out? And the people are sending stuff about Fort Negley.
I see.
Skate park
See,
at Two
skate
Rivers.
park at Two Rivers.
Yeah.
I see Jackie put that. You know, really for a comprehensive history of the park system, I would say the Nashville Room at the Nashville Public Library, because I don't think the history, I mean, there are books about, or at least one I know about Nashville parks, and I think it was written back in '88, so it's a bit dated, although it does have some really good information. I don't think there is one location or compository for all of the history of the park. So for instance, the Centennial Arts Center that is down here in Centennial Park, not many people know that that used to be the location of a swimming pool. And it was, the park system here in Nashville used to be racially segregated, and the pool was cemented rather than integrated. Not a lot of people don't know that. A few years ago, the Conservancy for Centennial Park partnered with us and had a program to talk about that. And Howard Gentry was a panelist because he was a kid at that time and used to try to come to the park. The late Kwame Lillard was a part of that program. And of course, David Ewing as a Nashville historian. But there's not one place, you're giving me a good idea now. There's not one place that holds all of the history other than the Nashville Room, but there is a wealth of both great, complicated, and sad history, as history always is, in this park system. So yeah.
So I think we had talked before, there's been discussions with some of the individuals on this program about creating a more of a place where people can learn about the history of Nashville. Particularly if you have people who walk downtown, you know, they're walking in front of the Hermitage Hotel.
Yeah.
They're walking in front of Woolworths.
Yes.
All kinds of different things that are full of history that if they're not paying attention or they're not looking at the markers, they may miss.
Yeah.
And if we end up doing this, we're going to probably need your help.
That would be great, because I'll also say, you know, people that visit here don't know, but there are a lot of Nashvillians, people who are either born and reared here or have been here for a long time, that don't know. Because I don't even know all of, you know, Nashville history. And I think it's just fascinating for us to uncover history and where it's appropriate to honor it.
Well, I think that it's going to be, I think it's important, particularly with all the development going on downtown and everywhere else, that we're losing a lot of, we're losing some of that history. And, you know, you get that old Nashville up against new Nashville.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we do it. So we have folks like Carol Busey.
Yes.
I think David Ewing could be involved.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of people with that information that we need to store and save before we lose it. Okay, last question for you.
Okay.
So I appreciate you so much being on, because it's been really, really interesting. But I've got something going on in my backyard that's making a lot of noise. I've got a dog inside that's barking her head off. So here's the question. After I get off this call,
Yes.
I'm going to need someplace to go quietly sit down and relax. And where would you send me? Give me 2 places you would send me. I've heard there are places in Centennial Park that, like, either next to the pond or something, that's just perfect to sit down.
Tranquil.
Yeah. So if I'm looking for a tranquil place, or even after a council meeting, after, now that's probably going to be 9:30 at night. I may not want to go there.
Yeah, you don't want to be no.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. But like the next morning, where would you send me? You know this place. And then I would also ask Jackie, who has been on this call.
Yeah, Jackie, come on.
Yeah, where she said it, Centennial Art Center.
But Centennial Art Center, Botanical Garden. So it's behind the art center where the pool actually was, right there. There's a little, that is a place of respite, even on weekdays, because from park staff to HCA staff to regular park users, they're there sometimes, and they will sit and have lunch. There are tables out there. They will sit and have lunch. So I totally agree with that. I was going to say, just to a more expansive place, Bell's Bend Outdoor Recreation Center. So that is off of Ashland City Highway. It is, it's just nature. We do have a nature center there and a climbing wall, but there are trails there, or you can just sit out there, and it's rural. I would say Bell's Bend too. Yeah. And somebody put, Jackie, Flagpole Hill is the perfect place to meditate. Thank you, Jackie.
And where is that? Where is Flagpole Hill?
It is up. Jackie, tell us what Flagpole Hill is. Give us directions. Really good conversation. Thank you, Monique. Yeah. At the top of Centennial Park. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going over there right now, because I don't know what's happening back here, but somebody's doing something in the back of near my house. So it's across from the dog park.
Across from the dog park.
Okay, I'm gonna take my dog over there and
yeah. I mean, I'll take Jackie's word for it that it's quiet, but hopefully, I mean, it's a Saturday and lots of dog users over there. So,
well, Monique, thank you for being on. This has been really, really good. You do an amazing job. There's a lot of responsibility. I know it's been very, very important during the pandemic to keep these things open and keep people safe, and because people needed an outlet. So thank you so much for what you do. And
thank you so much, Vice Mayor. Thank you for the invitation and the conversation, and thank you for your support of the department.
Well, it's very important to the city, so thank you. All right, so we are off for the next 2 weeks. I'm probably going to need the vacation after whatever's going on back here. We are off for 2 weeks, and then we come back on, so keep an eye out. Have a very interesting guest, Rashida Fatuga, who is the head of Gideon's Army, is going to come on. We're going to talk a lot about their violence interruption program, so it should be really, really interesting. For now, everybody, remember to be safe. Enjoy the next couple of weeks off. You don't have to listen to me on Saturdays. You can watch the old tapes. And anyway, I'm going to go and start helping people get vaccinated so we can get closer to.
Thank you.
Okay. Monique, thanks. Have a good rest of the weekend.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Everybody be safe. Bye.